and welcome back. I am thrilled that you are here as part of this mini-series as I challenge you and your business to get legit. Now, if you are just meeting me right now, you have missed a video, so you might need to go back. This is part 2 of a mini-series, and in session 1, in the first video, I chatted to you all about the things that you might be worrying about when running your business. All of the things that may feel a little bit chaotic, a little bit unorganized, and things that you are thinking, I don't know how to fix these things. Like, these are things I hear people talking about, but I don't know how they fit in and I don't know what I'm doing. We made a list of problems in video 1, and if you haven't done that list yet, you need to hop back to that video and do that list before carrying on, okay? If you were here before, welcome back. You will no doubt have been writing out your list diligently, setting out all of the things, and you might be feeling a little bit worse at the moment. And if so, that's normal. You might have a very long list of things thinking, great, all I have now is a bigger task list. Thanks, Lucy. That's really helped me. What we need to do now is find some order for that, and when we do that, you end up with a little bit of a blueprint for your business as to exactly what you're going to do next. Now, what I use is something that I've used with hundreds of businesses. It's something that I use every week within my membership, and it's something that I work with people at certain periods of the year. We work in a small group as we work together to get legit. And it's this roadmap that I want to work with you on now. I'm going to share with you the steps of the roadmap, okay? So if you haven't got one yet, grab a notepaper or grab your phone, and we're going to put the Get Legit roadmap. Now, step 1 on that roadmap. I'm just going to list out the steps first, and then once I've done that, we will break them down a little bit. Step 1 is set up and stay legit. Step 2 is sell legit. You can see where I'm going with this. Step 3 is privacy. Step 4 is contracts. Step 5 is brand protection. And step 6 is scale legit. Okay? Now, all of the problems that you've got on your piece of paper will fit into one of those steps on the roadmap, okay? And within the roadmap, we go along, and at certain points, we just look at the roadmap and we look at it and go, okay, there's some steps I need to take here, and we can move on. Once we've done them, or we look at them and go, okay, that's something I need to do a bit of, and then I can come back. There are other steps which are hard blocks. There are blocks, and it says you do not pass go. You cannot go over any further on this road until you have done the thing that you need to do. And I actually have got it all as a presentation, which I'd love to share with you if we get the chance to work together further. But for example, the first thing that I talk to people about is setting up legitimately. Now, you just need to make a decision whether you're going to be a sole trader or a limited company. They're the two common ones for most entrepreneurs. Yes, there are charities, yes, there are other things to think about, but for the most part, it's whether you are going to be a sole trader or a limited company. Spoiler alert, you can move between the two whenever you want to. There's nothing to stop you from doing that. You can make that decision, and you can change, and you can unravel, and you can pick up the pieces. Now, obviously, it might be less administrative if you do pick the right one, the best one for you first. And what the best is going to be dependent on your how you run your business, what you're doing, how much you think you're going to earn, because sometimes there are different tax efficiencies, and sometimes people want to be the most tax efficient they can be, and they put that higher than the legal protection, and it's this consideration, and we can talk about that in a little bit more detail as well in due course. So there's a consideration there, so you need to make that decision. And some of you might be like, oh well, I've already done that, I'm already a sole trader, I'm already set up, I've got my various different numbers, and I'm registered and all the rest of it. Great. If you've done that, it's like a big old tick. So brilliant. If you've already chosen, maybe you're already a limited company already, maybe you've already made the decision that you're going to do it this way, and when you hit a certain revenue goal, you're going to change. Part of that same bit is stay legit. If there is one thing only that you take away from this mini-series, it's about staying legit. I really want to tell you that you could just do this mini-series and that the whole of the legal side of your business was done forever. I would be lying if I said that. I'm really sorry, I can't tell you that. It's not a one and done job. But the way that you can look at legal is a way that can empower what you do. It can make you excited. It can make you think, I'm doing something really new, like something new is coming up. I'm going to share this with the world. Therefore, I'm going to need a trademark, and I'm going to need terms, and I'm going to open my membership, and I'm going to have a retreat, so I'm going to need a retreat contract. Like, there are ways to get yourself excited about those legal things being on your list, okay? So if hosting retreats is on your list, then you definitely we're going to need to be adding in those kind of things that we're going to be needing for that, which is not just a retreat contract, for example. We want to make sure we've got a release form for the photos, for all the videos, because we can't have you hosting a retreat and not sharing all of the amazing content online, okay? So we need to make sure you've got the permission to do that. So there's a number of considerations that you're going to need, but we don't necessarily need a retreat contract on day one, okay? What I need you to do is have this plan in place to stay legitimate. What I often recommend to people is they put it in their diary to stay legit every 3 months, and they put it as a task. Some people will attach it to finances. My idea, what I share with people, is to put it every quarter, but at the end of January is the first one. So we have the end of January, the end of April, the end of July, and the end of October. The reason for that is because if we have one at the end of the year, it gets lost. It gets lost if we put it at the end of what is often a standard quarter, if we have it at the end of December. And often at the end of January, we've done our taxes, because whether you are trading as a sole trader only, or even if you are director of a limited company, you will still be paying self-assessment tax on the 31st of January. And that's a date to be putting in your stay legit list of dates and tasks to do. Pay self-assessment tax to HMRC in the UK on the 31st of January. And when we're looking at that, we may at that point also be thinking about the bigger picture. What are we doing? How has the start of the year gone? What else do we need to think about? So it's realising this stay and set up and stay legit piece is so important. But it's not as overwhelming as you might think. There's not a lot. That's like at the overview, and there's more to go in. There's detailed strategy as to how you do all those things. But I've shared quite a lot of that with you. So a lot of those things you might think, I don't know when I'm meant to file things, I don't know when I'm meant to do things. They're all going to go in that category. One of the next big ones is sell legit. Now, I'm not going to go through every single one of these in any detail. I'm not going to go through any of them in any detail today, but I just want to talk to you a little bit about what kind of thing goes into sell legit, because I think that that's a really, really important one. Because what a lot of people often worry about is refunds. They don't really know like the rules of selling, and sometimes people are surprised to know there are actual laws. Like the legislation says you can and cannot do this. So it says things like you cannot charge people more on a payment plan. And there's certain rules around that. It doesn't say on a payment plan in online businesses. Like there's a lot of legislation that comes into all of the different elements of selling. And one of those is making sure that you do not charge people more, so that it becomes a penalty fee if they use a payment plan. And that's a really important one. And things about refunds, the thing I see all the time, because people share it with me because they know I don't like it, is when people say no refunds. You can't have a refund, no refunds. That is not correct in any of the laws. Like none of the law that applies says that you put no refunds. That is wrong. People always can ask you for a refund, whether they've paid by whether it's a digital product, whether it's a bespoke service, whatever it is. There's always grounds to be asked for a refund. And yet you're thinking, Lucy is wrong, that is not right. Yes, it is right. If, for example, it's a bespoke product and they've said you're not entitled to a refund because it's a bespoke product, but they don't send you the product, you're entitled to a refund. Yeah? If it never arrives, you're entitled to a refund. If you are getting something for your good friend Sarah and they've put Sally, you can get a refund because they haven't sent you the right thing. Yeah, so even if something is normally, if people are like, you can never get a refund on bespoke products, not correct. There's always going to be grounds. So if people have put no refunds, that to me is a huge red flag. That is something that shows to me that they do not understand how refund terms work, and they have not gone through the process of refunds. So the refunds you look at are who, what, when, where, and why. Those 5 things all determine whether or not someone is entitled to a refund. And when you understand all of that, you can have a really clear refunds policy or policies in place, because you've probably got different policies for different things. Digital products will probably have different refund policy to courses or programs or one-to-one offerings. And that's fine, but you need to know the different ones that go into different places. When we're looking at some of those pain points as well, we were looking at refunds and like not getting paid on time. All of that comes into selling legitimately. Like, how can you ensure that you always get paid on time? There's one shift that I put in place for all of my clients to make sure that they get paid, because I don't want to say that's the most important thing. It isn't. Supporting people and but getting your message out into the world, doing your thing, that is the most important thing. But also, it's not going to feel that great if you don't get paid. And there's just a small tweak that you can make to ensure that you always get paid. And what I want to look at is not all of these things in detail right now. That is something that I do in Get Legit. So I've got a course called Get Legit the course, and I run it live often. I run it live twice a year. And within that course, that's where we look at all of this. We go through each thing in detail and work through this plan so that it is rock solid. You've got everything that was causing you a problem falls into these things, okay? And I know, because I've worked with people for a long time, that this kind of thing really does hold them back. I worked with Nicola. She was someone who did this course almost the very first time I've done it. I've been doing this course since 2020. That's how much loved it is. I've done it every single year, even on years when I've had a baby, and just before I went on maternity I did it, because people love it and they get such incredible results. Now Nicola is fantastic, and she got everything in place to get to the point where she was able to work with the most incredible client, Amy Porterfield. Okay, the reason she was able to do that, well, it's because she is absolutely fantastic at what she does, but it's also because she had the confidence in place. She's a service provider and she's able to get her things in place that she could win the client of her dreams. Now I want you to think now about the client of your dreams. Okay, take a moment to think about who that is. You know who it is. I don't even need to give you a moment to pause. You know now. You've got that name in your head. You stop this video and there's an email from them. They're inquiring to work with you. Okay? Let's imagine you have the call and it goes really well and they're like, yeah, I know I want to work with you. Well, they might not even want a call. They might just be like, so-and-so told me about what you're doing. Love it. Sounds amazing. How do I get signed up? At that point, what are you feeling? Are you feeling excited and empowered and like, yay, I've got my dream client. Let me send them the contract. Or are you thinking, oh no, oh dear, I wish I had got a really good contract. I wish I had bought a contract from Lucy a while ago and got this done. I knew at some point this was going to come around and this is the point, and I'm now in a panic because I want to sign my dream client and I don't feel like that contract is going to be good enough, or I don't think it's going to be able to protect me because they've probably got a big team and they're going to say something and I'm not going to know, and they're going to ask me to tweak something or ask me about that contract. Yeah, that's potentially what's going to be running through your head. And if you're feeling any of those things, you need to come to the next video in the video series and watch video 3 as I share with you what you need to have in your contract. And we're going to go through not everything because that'll take too long, but some of the key points that you need to be considering in your contract to make sure that you are legit. See you on the next video.